In the intro, I said that JavaScript is one of the core platforms of HTML5. And in the rest of the chapters of this advanced HTML5 series, you'll see proof, since almost all the features we'll talk about either require or will be enhanced by some simple JavaScript function calls. HTML5 includes some new JavaScript APIs, but JavaScript itself isn't new at all. It's been around for a while. It was added to Microsoft Explorer version 3 in 1996, and it's been included in virtually every browser made ever since. So unlike some of the other advanced HTML5 features, there won't be many problems with older browsers. Right up front, I need to say that you don't need to become a programmer to use JavaScript. There are plenty of programmers out there on the web offering ready-made scripts or custom scripts you can add to your pages. What you mainly need to know is how to incorporate those scripts and functions into your page content. So I've set up the next 2 chapters as a sort of JavaScript crash course. Here we're going to learn only what you need to know to get JavaScript to work for you. In this chapter here, we'll go over the basics of adding JavaScript to your page, and in the next chapter I've included a little bit more about the structures that JavaScript uses so that you can also understand a little of what's going on inside the scripts, which can be really helpful when you're troubleshooting a script that isn't working. So let's get started by adding some code to a basic page. I'll start with the try JavaScript page that we have. And first of all, I'll just open it up in the browser so we can see that it's just a page with a title and a paragraph. And I'll open it up in my text processor so we can start adding some code to it. Of course, the first thing we want to know is where does JavaScript go? And in the web page, it can be placed anywhere inside the head or body tags you want. But just so the rest of our HTML doesn't get confused, we're going to enclose it inside of a script tag. So let me set a script tag right up here inside the head tag of our current document. Of course, we're going to close it with a closed script tag, just like other HTML tags. And sometimes you might see developers using a type attribute inside the script tag up here declaring that it's JavaScript. But with HTML5, we don't need to do that anymore, so we have just a nice clean script tag. Next, of course, we want to see our JavaScript do something active, so let's try calling a function. This is a pretty basic piece of ActionScript and involves calling the function by name, and in this case, we're going to call the alert function. So right inside the script tag, I'll just call alert. And when we're working with JavaScript functions, they're easy to recognize because they usually have parentheses after the name of the function. And most JavaScript lines end with a semicolon. So I'm going to put a semicolon in there. And now we've got something that looks like a typical JavaScript function call, although this one needs something more. Some of the functions that we're going to call will actually need to have a parameter added to it. Now this particular function is going to pop up a JavaScript alert box right there in the middle of the screen, and it'll have some kind of message in it. So in order to call this function correctly, we need to add into the parentheses what message we want to appear in the box. So let's just put in a little test message. I'll put in here, JavaScript created this message. Notice I'm putting it in quotes, and that's because I want those exact characters placed in my message. Now let's give it a try. I'll save my changes to my HTML document, and we'll just go out to the browser and we'll refresh the page to see how it looks. Now notice before the page even draws or loads any of the elements for the title and the paragraph at the side, we have this alert message that popped up. Depending on what browser and what operating system you're using, it might look a little bit different. I'm using Firefox on a Macintosh, and those default pop-up messages look like this. So I'll just click OK, and you can see we go on with the rest of the page. Well, there we've seen JavaScript in action. And it didn't take much, just a simple function call. Now it's important for me to say I didn't just make up the alert function. There's an existing set of functions that JavaScript uses and you can call them whenever you need to. There's a lot of good resources out there, but I've found one that's really good on the devguru.com site. So let's just go there really quick so you can see what else there is available. They have a lot of references here, but if I just click on JavaScript, we can get a quick reference list of all kinds of things, including JavaScript function calls. And I'm just going to go down to the main index for JavaScript functions, so we can see there is truly a number of them. But if we look over here under the A's, we can see the alert function. And if I click on it, you get a little description and an example of it being used in some code. There you can see alert, parentheses, there's some quotes, and then a message. Just like what we set up. So there's lots of references available. For the rest of the series, I'm just going to call off the functions that we need to use, but I wanted you to know that there's a lot more out there. Now, before we try anything else, I just want to go back to our document, and let's take a look at the placement of that code. As I said before, we can place JavaScript up inside the head or inside the body tags, pretty much wherever we want. But let me move this script around and let's see how it changes. I'll just cut it from its current location up in the head tag, and I'll go down to the bottom of the document right before the closed body tag, and let's add it in there. Now I've got the same little snippet of JavaScript, but it's out at the bottom of the page. So let's save that change, and we'll go back out to the browser and refresh our page so we can see how the placement affects the code. First of all, you can see that the alert function call is still working. It's pasting our message in, and we have an alert box with a normal OK button. But this time what you'll notice is that the other elements are kind of grayed out in the background of the page. The last time when our alert box was up there, the page was blank, and the title and the paragraph only appeared after we clicked the OK button. Now, this is actually telling us something about the way JavaScript runs. Let me go back to our document here for a second. Before, we had the alert script up in the head portion of the document, and that was actually before the title and the paragraph were ever rendered. So what this is telling us is that our pages are rendered from the top down, and that includes all of our HTML and JavaScript. Now, because of this, a lot of people will add their JavaScript right at the bottom of the page, right before the closed body tag. And as we'll see later on, this might be necessary because the script is going to do some work on some other elements on the page, and we need to make sure that those page elements load first. If you're not doing any of that type of scripting, it really doesn't matter where your script is and you can put it anywhere. But it's a good idea to keep things together.